Picture this. You are sitting in a waiting room. And, I mean, you know the exact kind I'm talking about.
Oh, absolutely. We all know that room.
Right, like the chairs are angled in this weird way that suggests someone, somewhere, thought about human comfort, but, never actually felt it themselves.
Yeah, and the magazines on the little side table are always from like 8 months ago?
Exactly. And right above you, those fluorescent lights have that low, maddening hum.
Oof, the worst.
And the clock on the wall just seems to be ticking with this insolence that borders on mockery. But here's the thing. You're just sitting there. You aren't doing any physical labor.
Right, you aren't solving complex equations or anything.
No, not at all. And yet you are completely, utterly exhausted.
It's just a universally draining experience. I mean, most of us treat it like a glitch in our day, right? Just a blank space where nothing is happening, and we just have to grit our teeth until real life resumes.
Exactly. But today we are taking a deep dive into an incredible, really expansive text called The Phenomenology of Waiting by Max and Claude.
It's such a fascinating read.
It really is. And our mission today is to decode why the simple act of, well, not doing something takes such a massive physical and psychological toll on us.
Yeah, we're going to explore what this actually reveals about the human relationship with time.
Right, and how mastering the state of the not yet might actually be the ultimate shortcut to a deeper mind. So we are treating the waiting room not as some frustrating inconvenience, but as a high-stakes laboratory of human consciousness.
And, the first thing this laboratory reveals is how waiting literally breaks us in two. There's this concept in the text of being doubled.
Double, like split in half.
Yeah, think about it. When you are sitting in that waiting room, your physical body is stuck entirely in the present moment.
Okay, I'm with you.
You're noticing the numb feeling in your legs, the coughing stranger across the room, the hum of those terrible lights. But your mind isn't there at all.
Oh, wow, it's somewhere else completely.
Exactly. It is projected completely into the future. You are rehearsing the conversation you're about to have, or, you're bracing for the medical news you're about to get.
So you are occupying two different points in time simultaneously.
Yes. Body in the present, mind in the future.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because that split consciousness is just fascinating. It's almost like, well, think of a smartphone that has way too many background apps open.
Oh, that's a great way to look at it.
Right, like you aren't actively doing anything on the screen. It looks like the phone is just sitting there.
But the battery is just tanking.
Yes, the battery is draining incredibly fast because the processor is caught in this endless, frantic loop of refreshing the future over and over again. It's like it's trying to load a web page that just isn't available yet.
What's fascinating here is the actual biological why behind that battery drain.
Wait, there's a biological reason for this?
Oh, absolutely. Your autonomic nervous system does not have a designated waiting mode. Yeah, it essentially operates in two primary gears. You have the sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight or flight activation.
Right, the stress response.
Exactly. And then the parasympathetic nervous system, which is rest and digest. But waiting forces the body into this chronic, low-grade fight or flight state.
So your body thinks it's under attack just sitting in a chair.
Basically, you are anticipating an event, so your body prepares for action. Your heart rate elevates. Your eyes are constantly scanning the environment for a signal like a door opening or a name being called.
Oh, man, that explains so much.
Yeah, your breathing becomes shallow. Blood flow actually shifts away from your digestive tract and toward your muscles, literally preparing you to either run or fight.
Which explains why you suddenly get that bizarrely heightened need to pee when you're waiting for something stressful.
Yes.
Your body's literally shedding excess weight to prepare for survival. That is wild.
Precisely. So your body is revved up, producing heat and restless energy, but there is zero resolution.
Because you aren't running and you aren't fighting.
Right. You were just sitting in a bad chair. And that physical idling, that buildup of unspent kinetic energy, is exactly why we mindlessly tap our feet or bounce our legs.
Oh, I do that all the time.
We all do. We are literally trying to discharge useless survival energy that has nowhere else to go.
It's the body protesting its own stasis. It's like it's screaming, do something. But this physical tension isn't uniform, right?
What do you mean?
Well, the way your body reacts, the way time feels, it shifts drastically depending on the specific flavor of the future you are waiting for.
Oh, right. Absolutely. There's an entire taxonomy of time. We experience fundamentally different universes of waiting.
Like what? What's an example?
For example, consider expectant waiting. This is like the child on Christmas Eve.
Oh, sure. The classic, trying to stay awake to hear reindeer.
Exactly. Their consciousness is leaning so far forward into the future, they're almost tipping over. Time is just a distance to be traversed, and the body's physical arousal is actually adjacent to joy.
Right, it's an excited energy.
But then you contrast that with anxious waiting.
Like waiting for a biopsy result or waiting to see if you got laid off at work.
Exactly. In anxious waiting, you aren't leaning forward. You are bracing backward against the future.
Because you don't want it to arrive.
Right. Time becomes gelatinous. It slows down and thickens. And the cruelest part of anxious waiting is that you suffer twice.
Twice? How so?
You suffer once in the agonizing anticipation of the bad news, and you suffer a second time in the reality of it.
Wow. That is heavy. But so true.
And then you have resigned waiting. Think of a prisoner serving a long sentence or someone living with a chronic, incurable illness.
Where there's no real hope for a sudden fix.
Right. Expectation is stripped away entirely. You aren't leaning forward or bracing backward. You are just enduring pure duration.
That sounds exhausting in a totally different way.
It is. And then there's grief's waiting, which is just heartbreaking.
I read this part in the text. It's devastating.
Yeah. That's when you are waiting for a loved one who has passed away to walk through the front door, simply because your nervous system hasn't caught up with what your intellect already knows.
Right, because it's a profound somatic lag. The mind understands the finality of death, but the body's deeply ingrained habits like, listening for their key in the lock, expecting their footsteps, those habits are still waiting.
Exactly. The body hasn't learned the new reality yet.
But I actually want to push back on something here.
Oh, what?
Specifically regarding that first category, the expectant wait. The Christmas Eve one.
Okay, sure.
It sounds like waiting for something good, like a vacation or a wedding, is purely joyful.
Yeah.
But I think we have to acknowledge the cruelty of human imagination here.
The cruelty of imagination. Tell me more about that.
Well, have you ever spent weeks imagining the perfect holiday, like playing out every ideal detail in your head? The sunset, the amazing dinner.
I am, constantly.
Right. And then when you actually get there, it rains, your flight is delayed, you argue over directions, and the messy, imperfect reality just feels completely hollow.
Oh, I see what you mean. The imagination outruns reality.
Exactly. Expectant waiting can actually consume the joy that the arrival was supposed to bring. You build it up so much that reality can't compete.
That is a brilliant observation, and it connects directly to the metaphysical reality of our species. Human waiting isn't just about passively passing time. It is narrative waiting.
Narrative waiting. Okay, what does that mean?
Well, when you are waiting for test results or for a blind date to arrive, you aren't just waiting for a biological or social event. You are waiting to find out what genre of story you are currently living in.
Oh. Like, is this a tragedy? Is it a romance? A triumph?
Yes, we are narrative creatures, and our imagination is constantly drafting the next chapter. So when the real chapter arrives, it rarely matches the flawless draft we created while we were waiting.
That makes perfect sense. But what happens when our past narratives, specifically terrifying ones, hijack our present ability to wait?
Ah, that's a crucial point.
Because for some people, the waiting room isn't just uncomfortable, it is a literal threat to their nervous system.
This brings us to the profound intersection of waiting and trauma. If we look at Peter Levain's work on somatic experiencing, he views trauma as incomplete action stored in the body.
Incomplete action, so an urge that never got to play out.
Exactly. In the wild, if an animal survives a predator, it literally shakes off the excess survival energy. Humans often suppress that.
We hold it in.
We do. So for a trauma survivor, the uncertainty of an ordinary wait, say, waiting for a manager to call them into an office, it pattern matches with past danger. It's like a smoke detector.
A smoke detector?
Yeah, a smoke detector can't tell the difference between a burnt piece of toast and the entire house burning down.
Oh, that's a perfect analogy.
To a traumatized nervous system, a slow line at the grocery store or an unanswered text message sets off the exact same biological alarm as an actual life-threatening predator.
Right, because they aren't responding to the slow cashier, they are responding to the historical pattern. Exactly. Their nervous system remembers that in the past, a period of uncertainty preceded a catastrophe. So a mundane wait triggers a full, overwhelming threat response.
It's a survival mechanism that's just stuck in overdrive.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting, because we can scale this concept up from the individual nervous system to the macro level of society.
Okay, let's zoom out.
We all use the phrase, time is money, which literally means waiting is an economic cost.
Right, time has value.
And we all sort of pretend that the first come, first served queue is the ultimate democracy, the great equalizer.
Everyone waits their turn.
But in reality, capitalism has entirely commodified the escape hatch. If you are wealthy, you simply purchase exemptions from waiting.
Oh, absolutely. You buy your way out.
Yeah, you get concierge doctors, TSA pre-check, VIP fast passes, private jets. You buy your way out of the waiting room entirely.
Which means if you are poor, your time is effectively confiscated by the state and the economy.
Exactly. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it creates a massive, invisible psychological disparity.
The wealthy experience a world that eagerly accommodates their timeline. The system responds to them instantly, reinforcing their importance.
Right. The world bends to them.
But for marginalized communities, waiting is often weaponized. Think of Kafka.
Oh, the endless bureaucracy.
Yes, bureaucratic waiting, standing in endless lines at social services, waiting months for an immigration application to process, sitting on hold for hours to dispute a medical bill. This is a deliberate tool of power.
It trains people in their own powerlessness.
Exactly. Communicates to them through the sheer friction of the system that their time, and therefore their humanity, is fundamentally less valuable.
It's a way of teaching people to be submissive. It grinds you down until you just accept whatever scraps the system gives you.
It's devastatingly effective.
And you see it evolved in the modern gig economy, too.
Oh, for sure.
Rideshare drivers, delivery workers, freelance creatives, they are kept on perpetual standby.
Right, waiting for the next ping.
They aren't actively working, so they aren't getting paid, but they aren't free to live their lives either. They have to remain constantly vigilant for the next notification.
It is waiting as uncompensated labor. It's a brilliant and brutal system.
It really is.
And because waiting can feel so deeply oppressive, whether economically, bureaucratically, or psychologically, modern society has essentially declared a technological war on it.
A war on waiting. I like that phrasing.
We have designed our entire digital infrastructure to completely eliminate the gap between desire and fulfillment.
Enter the smartphone, the ultimate pocket-sized escape hatch from the waiting room.
Yes, the smartphone colonizes the interval.
It colonizes the gap.
We no longer wait. We numb ourselves. The second there is a lull like in an elevator at a red light in the grocery checkout, we whip out our screens and consume an endless feed of content.
We just flat out refuse to wait.
We do. But by eliminating that gap, we're accidentally killing something absolutely vital to human flourishing. We are losing our capacity for solitude and sustained attention.
I mean, think about your own life for a second. When was the last time you let yourself experience the pure pleasure of anticipation?
It's been a while, honestly.
Right. When did you last sit with the excitement of an approaching event, or even just the quiet space of an unanswered question, without instantly reaching into your pocket to collapse the distance with a screen?
It is becoming a lost art. And what we lose in that frantic digital escape is a mechanism Graham Wallace called creative incubation.
Creative incubation. Okay, let's break that down.
Over a century ago, Wallace mapped out the 4 stages of creativity. First, you have preparation. That's researching, gathering data, banging your head against the wall trying to solve a problem.
The hard work phase.
Exactly. Second is incubation. Third is illumination, which is the eureka moment. And fourth is verification, where you test the idea.
Okay, so everyone wants that third step. We all want the eureka moment.
But the illumination cannot happen without the incubation phase.
And the incubation phase is just waiting.
It is the seed underground. It happens when you step away from the problem.
Like when you get your best ideas in the shower.
Exactly. When you are waiting in line, taking a shower, or staring out a train window, your conscious mind backs off and your unconscious mind takes over.
So it's working in the background.
Yes. It starts synthesizing all that preparation data, making wild associations, connecting the dots behind the scenes.
But if you fill every spare microsecond of your life with a screen,
You pave over the mental soil where the seed is trying to grow. You never give the unconscious mind the silent space it needs to do its best work.
man, that is a huge loss. And there's also a deeply romantic side to this interval, too. It's not just about problem solving, it's about desire.
Yes, the text touches on this wonderfully.
We have this concept of the lover's way. The French writer Stendhal had this beautiful idea he called crystallization.
Ah, yes, the salt mine metaphor.
Yes. Stendhal said that if you throw a bare, ordinary branch into an abandoned salt mine and leave it there, months later you will pull it out and it will be covered in dazzling, intricate crystals.
It becomes entirely transformed.
Yeah. Right, and that is exactly what the mind does to a lover when we are forced to wait for them. Distance and anticipation actually clarify desire.
because the waiting allows us to overlay our imagination onto them, to coat them in crystalline perfection.
Exactly. If you can instantly text someone the second you think of them, you rob yourself of the crystallization process. You lose the richness of yearning.
There is even a nod to this in the Japanese aesthetic of wabi-sabi, the profound realization of finding beauty in things that are incomplete, imperfect, and not yet finished.
That is so beautiful. And that richness of the not yet is deeply tied to the philosopher Simone Weil's concept of attention, isn't it?
Yes, Weil believed that true attention is actually the highest form of waiting.
No, I have to admit, I struggle with Weil's definition here.
Oh, why is that?
Well, she describes this high-level attention as an active emptiness, which sounds incredibly poetic, but also like a massive oxymoron.
It does sound like a contradiction at first.
I'm going to need an analogy for active emptiness because my brain just short circuits trying to picture it. How can you be empty and active at the same time?
It's a great question. Think of it like listening to a complex piece of classical music.
Okay.
If you are actively trying to hum along, or if you are mentally trying to predict what the next chord will be, you aren't really listening. You are imposing your own noise over the music.
Right, you're filling the space with yourself.
Exactly. Active emptiness is when you completely clear your mental stage. You suspend your own projections, your own demands, and your own internal narrative.
Wow.
You hold yourself completely still, completely open, so that you can genuinely receive reality or another human being exactly as they are, without trying to alter them. It is making yourself a void so that truth can enter.
Okay, that makes so much sense. You aren't zoning out, you are intensely holding space. But if we want to reclaim this profound level of attention, if we want to stop scrolling and start incubating, we have to look at how humans have historically survived the wait without completely losing their minds. Because it is incredibly hard.
It is exceptionally hard. It goes against our impulsive wiring,
Right.
which is why ancient traditions didn't just tell people to wait. They developed robust frameworks, spiritual technologies, really, to teach us how to wait well.
Like what? What's an example of a spiritual technology for waiting?
Look at the Jewish Sabbath. It is a profound practice of eschatological waiting. You are deliberately resting one day a week in a world that is demonstrably incomplete and unredeemed.
You're just stopping, even though the work isn't done.
Exactly. You are acknowledging the work isn't done, the emails aren't answered, the house isn't perfect, but you are choosing to pause and inhabit the present anyway.
That is powerful.
And in Islam, you have the beautiful concept of inshallah, if God wills, which functions as a daily verbal practice of relinquishing your furious grip on the timeline.
Wow, letting go of control.
And in Buddhism, the practice of beginner's mind teaches how to wait without a specific agenda, remaining curious and open without violently grasping for a predetermined outcome.
Now, there's a much more modern, secular equivalent to this, too, which completely blew my mind when I read it.
Oh, the marshmallow test.
Yes, the famous marshmallow test. We've all heard of this. You put a marshmallow in front of a child and say, you can eat this now, or if you wait 15 minutes, I'll give you 2.
Right, a classic psychology experiment.
For decades, we were told this was a test of raw willpower and grit. Like, the kids who waited were just biologically better at delaying gratification.
That was the narrative for a long time.
But there's a crucial twist in the text that totally reframes it. A child's ability to delay gratification isn't primarily about willpower at all. It's about trust.
Yes, the environmental context is everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If a child grows up in a stable home where adults keep their promises, waiting 15 minutes for a second marshmallow is a highly rational mathematical strategy.
It's an investment that pays off.
But what if a child grows up in a chaotic, unreliable environment? What if promises are broken and food is scarce?
Then waiting is a mathematically terrible strategy.
Right. If the world has proven itself to be unreliable, eating the single marshmallow immediately is the smartest, most intelligent thing that child can do. We only learn to wait when the world proves it is worth waiting for.
It is a staggering insight into human development. Trust is the actual foundation of patience.
It really reframes how we look at resilience.
It does. And that connects to perhaps the most moving concept we need to explore today, witness waiting.
Witness waiting, that's a powerful term.
This is the profound and often completely invisible act of love where you sit alongside someone who is suffering.
Like in a hospital.
Yes, you are in the hospital room while the chemo drips, or you are sitting on the couch with a friend who is deep in the trenches of grief.
And that is so excruciatingly difficult because human beings are deeply wired to fix things.
We always want a solution.
If someone is crying, we want to give them advice. We want to say, everything happens for a reason, or offer a quick fix just to make our own discomfort stop.
Precisely. Witness waiting requires you to silence that urge to fix. You aren't offering solutions.
Oh, you did?
You aren't
All
trying to
right.
cheer them up or rush them through their pain. You are actively tolerating your own helplessness. You are bearing the agonizing weight of doing nothing in order to offer them pure, unfiltered, non-judgmental presence.
You were simply saying, I am here in the dark with you for as long as it takes.
That's exactly it.
So what does this all mean? We've talked about all these high-minded spiritual ways to wait perfectly. Active emptiness, beginner's mind, witness waiting.
Right.
But I want to push back on the pressure to be perfectly zen all the time.
Oh, please do.
Because sometimes life is just brutal. Sometimes the wait for a diagnosis is too long, the pain of a divorce is too high, and the most honest, authentic thing you can do is just wait badly.
Wait badly.
Yeah.
I love that.
And you can do that with dignity. You cry, you scream in your car, you rage, you pace the floor at 3 a.m. Collapse is not a moral failure.
It's just being human.
Sometimes waiting badly is the only sane human response to an insane situation.
This raises an important question, though, about the long-term mechanics of the wait. How does waiting over a long enough timeline eventually shape our very identity?
That's a great point. How does it change us?
If we look at Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist who observed his fellow prisoners in the Nazi concentration camps, he noted something vital.
What did he find?
The ones who survived best psychologically were those who could find a way to inhabit the agonizing suffering of their present without entirely abandoning their orientation toward a meaningful future. They held the tension.
Wow.
Or, on a lighter note, think of an artist whose whole life is spent waiting for inspiration to strike.
Right.
When you wait long enough, the wait stops being something you do and becomes something you are. You have to find a way to integrate the waiting into your identity without letting it erase your present reality.
We've covered a massive amount of ground today, from the biological hum of our nervous system to the economic commodification of time, all the way to the profound trust required to delay gratification.
It's a huge topic.
It really is. But I want to take us to the very end, the finish line of the wait, the moment before it all resolves. It's called the threshold.
The threshold. It is a highly specific, totally paradoxical moment.
Set the scene for us. What is the threshold?
It is the literal second right before the doctor turns the handle to open the door, or the moment the phone starts to ring with the news you've been waiting weeks for.
Just that tiny sliver of time.
Yes. In that single instant, time does something bizarre. It simultaneously compresses into a single razor-sharp point and expands into an absolute eternity.
And there's this strange, sudden hesitation in your chest.
Why do you think that is?
Because in that split second, the infinite potential of the imagined future, where literally anything could happen, where hope is still alive, is about to be killed by the actual reality.
The wait function is about to collapse.
Exactly. You spent weeks, months, desperately wanting the wait to end. But standing right at the threshold for a fraction of a second, you mourn the loss of possibility. You realize the story is locked in.
Because the person who emerges from a long wait is never the exact same person who entered it.
Never.
The waiting wasn't just a blank gap between two events.
Yeah.
The waiting was the event. It was the forge. It was the laboratory that changed their cellular makeup, their patience, their trauma, their desires.
I want you to think about your own life right now. Look at the absolute biggest thing you are waiting for.
Whatever that might be.
Maybe it's a career promotion, a medical test result, a fractured relationship to finally heal, or maybe you were just waiting for a profound sense of purpose to arrive.
It could be anything.
Right. If you strip away the daily frustration and the agonizing impatience, what is that specific wait trying to teach you about your deepest, most unacknowledged values? Because what we are willing to wait for reveals exactly who we are.
We care because we wait, and we wait because we care.
That perfectly sums it up. The next time you find yourself stuck in a waiting room, sitting in one of those terrible chairs listening to the hum of the fluorescent lights, remember, you aren't just pausing your life. You are actively participating in the laboratory of human consciousness. Thank you for taking this deep dive with us today.